a touring sedan that sets a new standard of luxury. Here they are. Introducing the new TL with the satellite-linked navigation system from Acura.
John Glenn may be the oldest person to go up in space, but he is also part of a growing audience, his own peer group. America is aging, but seniors are more active than ever before, and they are watching Glenn with special interest, as KUSI's Susan Farrell reports.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
That was 36 years ago. 77-year-old John Glenn is now preparing for his second trip into space, a senior citizen astronaut. It's a big deal. But should it be? Well, everywhere you look, youth is what sells. Beautiful bodies on the covers of magazines. Fitness sells. But with 34 million Americans over the age of 65, and that number expected to triple in the next 50 years, our perspectives on aging and what it really is are changing.
RSV 245.
RSV 245.
10-8 on a special event. I'll be gone about 20 minutes from the storefront.
10-4.
You'd think at age 75, Eldon Jacobs might consider slowing down. He's already retired from a 25-year Navy career, including World War II test pilot. He's also been a school administrator and even went back to school for a PhD.
I have to keep busy. Yeah, I always have to be doing something.
Now Jacobs is part of the police department's retired senior volunteer patrol. But it was his time as a training officer with NASA, along with John Glenn and the other original astronauts, that has him closely watching the upcoming mission.
Oh, this is great. Looking at this now, with a background in human behavior, I'm much interested in it because that's exactly what he's going to be looking at. How seniors react and perform in space, what it does to their bodies, what it does to their personalities.
He's among many who hope Glenn's trip may change some thinking on aging.
The United States has never been big on age. You know, they have never really revered old people. They're the kind of people that you get out of the company, you retire them, and you expect them to suddenly disappear and go sit in a rocking chair someplace.
But there was no rocking chair for Diane Silva. She didn't retire until age 71, and now, 5 years later, she's the oldest female competitive swimmer in the county.
I was in it for my health, and I told the girls if I can swim fast enough to be able to compete, that's fine. If not, then I'll just swim for fun.
She's hopeful Glenn's flight might raise the value of older citizens.
Europe, for instance, you know, is our older nations, and they have a lot of old people, and they are revered. And in Asia, Chinese and Japanese, they are really revered. They're not sent to old folks' homes.
In the meantime, Silva continues to set and break records.
And it just so happens that the older you get in master swimming, that it gets easier as you get older because you outlive your competition.
Susan Farrell, KUSI News.
Now, on John Glenn's first flight, there were a number of delays. This time, NASA is hoping it will be much smoother sailing.
That lady had a nice point. You outlive your competition, and
well, she
means
certainly looks like she will.
cream rises to the top.
That's right.
Well, you know, a big-time squeeze play is on in Los Angeles. It is a geological squeeze that is forming new mountains in the process.
John Coleman is here to explain what this means for the future of Southern California. Are we going to get in on this squeeze?
Well, not really. We're just riding along very comfortably. Thank you, Cathy and Brian. At last, however, there are some actual measurements that prove that the ground is moving here in Southern California. And this research also tells us where major earthquakes are most likely to occur in the future. Los Angeles is moving toward the San Gabriel Mountains. Pomona, Pasadena, and the rest of the area in between is getting squeezed. In the process, new mountains are forming, and stress is building that will likely lead to a major earthquake someday. Jet Propulsion Laboratory scientists have used the Global Positioning Satellite System and a network of 60 GPS receivers around the LA area to measure the constant tiny movement of earthquake faults along the impact zone where the Pacific Ocean crustal plate is pushing northward under the continental plate.
It allows us to see how the Earth is moving right now today.
The movement is precisely 1/5 of an inch a year, and the area that's getting the squeeze, just north of the San Gabriel and San Fernando valleys, is where the big one will most likely occur.
It's at least twice as much along these faults to the north.
Northridge, site of the last big Southern California quake, is in this target zone. That region remains at risk, but this doesn't mean that we are free of the threat of earthquakes elsewhere in Southern California, or that the next quake will necessarily be in that impact zone. But to scientists at JPL Caltech, it does mean
these faults are more active, and we need to focus maybe a little more of our attention on understanding these faults and their most recent earthquake history.
the GPS network system in Southern California began in 1990 with 4 receivers. It's now up to 60, with 2 new sites being added every week, building toward an eventual network of 250 receivers. This network may someday become a reliable earthquake prediction source. And by the way, Cathy and Brian, this Southern California GPS system is operated by a consortium of major research institutions, including Scripps Institution at UCSD.
All right, thanks, John. So these little teeny earthquakes we've been having a bunch of over the last few days really do or don't have a bunch to do with this?
Well, many of them are clustered in the same zone in the San Bernardino Mountains, just to the northeast of LA.
Food for thought and for nerves.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John. See you in a while with the weather.
Okay, do.
Well, the NFL has a word for San Diegans. Thanks, but no thanks. San Diego will not be hosting the Super Bowl in the year 2002. Back in January, San Diego hosted Super Bowl 32, and city officials were hoping to get it again in 4 years. Mayor Susan Golding and other city leaders made their presentations this morning in Kansas City. Also there were the folks from New Orleans. It was between us and them, and New Orleans got it. Mayor Golding arrived at Lindbergh Field earlier this evening. She had this to say about what happened today.
New Orleans and San Diego are probably the best Super Bowl cities now, and they had the 2 best ones competing against each other. We had had it more recently, so chances are that played into their decision. Also, New Orleans couldn't take it in the 3 subsequent years, and we can.
It'll bring a lot of money to the city. Golding says that NFL commissioners said that we are front runner for hosting the Super Bowl in the year 2004.
And most of us, of course, have been hearing a lot about a proposed ballpark downtown and the vote in the upcoming election. And one of the big issues for some people has been parking downtown.
Yeah, many people are asking if the large parking lot at Qualcomm might be better. Would a downtown setting be easier? KUSI's Mike Castellucci has this report.
We are all used to this, driving into the stadium into one parking lot. At a downtown ballpark, parking would be scattered on different streets, between buildings, around corners, in smaller lots. Park at Qualcomm and it's a short walk to the stadium. Park downtown and the walk to a new field will most likely be longer. No matter how you look at it, one thing is certain. Qualcomm is different than downtown.
As a fan, would it bother you to walk 15 to 20 minutes to get to a downtown ballpark?
Yeah. I don't like to walk. I'm used to being downtown, so I'm used to walking a good 8 to 10 blocks.
Parking seems to be working in other cities that have recently placed a ballpark downtown. In Denver, an area of town known for its vacant buildings is now known for its atmosphere. Fans park in small lots and filter through blocks of refurbished galleries and restaurants. Early parking surveys shows that downtown San Diego has close to 37,000 parking spaces within a 20-minute walk or public transportation ride.
I have no problem, walking, like 15 or 20 minutes to downtown because there's a lot of good restaurants down there. There's a lot of shops down there. You can go shopping, and stuff like that.
After a game at Qualcomm, the only thing between the stadium and your car is parking lot. At a downtown ballpark, fans most likely would have restaurants and other diversions as they walk to their car.
At Qualcomm, after a game, the walk can be short. The wait in your car can be long.
Leave at the 9th inning, the last second, that's what everybody else does.
Friars Road is basically the only way out of Qualcomm. Ballpark supporters say several downtown streets would ease a mass exodus. Will the parking be a headache downtown, or will it be the best thing that ever happened? The jury is still out, but the meter is ticking. From downtown, Mike Castellucci, KUSI News.
Well, the process of in vitro fertilization has taken a giant step forward, we are told. Up next, how the birth of 2 babies in San Diego is signaling a new trend for fertility clinics.
They were already in debt, and now a very long battle over a very big phone bill may hurt even more. Just ahead, more problems for the San Ysidro Health Center.
And she may look like a big pile of blubber, but Nuka the walrus is really a mass of knotted muscles in need of a massage.
KUSI News, brought to you by Isuzu.
You can call it a truck. You can call it an SUV. Heck, you can call it Molly. But with steel skid plates and 80 cubic feet of cargo space, don't call the Isuzu Rodeo a car. It gets mad. Lease an Isuzu Rodeo for $199 a month for 48 months with $19.59 due at lease signing. Isuzu, we don't make cars.
Because of our name, some people think our stores must be huge. Actually, the biggest thing about our stores is the amount you save.
The Men's Warehouse.
You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
These steel-jawed leg hole traps can kill or maim wildlife and family pets, just like Dylan here. Vote yes on 4 and stop the use of indiscriminate traps. Ban cruel traps and vote yes on 4.
On the next Regis and Cathy Lee, Look Who's Live.
Look at me. I'm pasty.
She looked pretty good to me.
Colorful Pleasantville star Reese Witherspoon. And everybody loves Raymond.
We love you.
That's one of my goals. Ray Romano. Plus the hot sounds of Drew Hill. And later this week, how will Regis and Cathy Lee go trick-or-treating this year?
Was it something I said?
Find out on Live.
Tomorrow morning at 9 on KUSI TV.
How'd you like $1 billion? You got it. From Connell, Kathleen Connell. Her audits are saving you more than $1 billion in waste. Connell, controller. Cracking down on Medi-Cal fraud to improve health care. Exposing waste in the prisons. Streamlining the lottery to get more money to the classrooms. Connell, Kathleen Connell. A businesswoman savvy, a mother's common sense. Connell, controller. Ways to save you money? She's got $1 billion of them. Connell, Kathleen Connell. Isn't it time someone saved you a buck?
Does dress plus french fries equals zits?
There's a website all about you.
I did acne in the 70s.
MyLifePath.com from Blue Shield of California. It'll help you with nutrition, give you discounts on alternative care.
I need a new diet and a new boss.
It'll even email you reminders about checkups. MyLifePath.com, free to all Californians.
Nobody knows me like me.
The Sharp Fertility Center at Mary Birch Hospital is celebrating tonight. They are the first in San Diego County to have a successful birth as a result of a new in vitro fertilization treatment. And you're looking at the twin results today. The major benefit is the blastocyst transfer process, and it reduces the risk of multiple births. Officials at Sharp Mary Birch say the procedure is revolutionizing in vitro fertilization.
With blastocyst transfers, we're able to select out the best embryos to replace back inside the uterus and offer then a much higher success rate than has traditionally been perceived with fertility therapy, and at the same time virtually eliminating the risk for high-order multiple pregnancies.
Dr. Kettle says the new process will also mean a substantial decrease in the risk of miscarriages. And hundreds of kids marched to celebrate their drug and alcohol-free lifestyles in Escondido today. All part of Red Ribbon Week, the march also honored the memory of Enrique Camarena. He, of course, is the U.S. drug agent who was murdered in Mexico in 1985.
It turns out that trying to smell too good can kill you. A coroner in England says a 16-year-old boy died after months of repeatedly spraying his entire body with deodorant. Jonathan Capewell was obsessed, apparently, with smelling nice. His parents say he would spray his entire body with deodorant at least twice a day. The coroner in England says Capewell had 10 times the lethal dosage of propane and butane in his blood when he suffered a heart attack and died. The boy's mother now is calling for better warnings on deodorant cans, but a spokesperson from the Aerosol Manufacturing Association says she has never heard of such a thing.
The San Ysidro Health Center says it may have to lay off some employees. The facility says it's having all kinds of problems with its long-distance company. Center officials say a hacker apparently got into the phone system about 6 years ago. The hacker has made more than $82,000 worth of long-distance calls. The center and AT&T just could not reach an agreement over who should pay this bill, so they went to court. In 1995, the court agreed with AT&T, but the money ended up in an escrow account. Now AT&T wants its cash plus interest. An AT&T spokesperson tells KUSI they tried to resolve the problem. They even requested that the center provide them with financial documents to prove a hardship claim. Apparently the center did not, or never did, and it is now trying to renegotiate with AT&T.
This would set us back tremendously. The impact would be that we would have to reduce our work staff, possibly several nurses or possibly even a physician. On an annual basis, it will mean that we will not be able to take care of close to 1,000 individuals or families.
What a mess. Both sides expected to be back in court in about 2 weeks.
A history professor from UC San Diego will be honored at the White House next week for his work to heighten awareness and understanding of history. Ramon Eduardo Ruiz is a professor emeritus of Latin American history. Ruiz came to UC San Diego in 1970. He has written a dozen books on various aspects of Mexico's history. President Clinton and First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton will present Ruiz with the National Humanities Medal on November 5th.
Meanwhile, the president says that he hopes Americans are noticing his commitment to atone. He says that he has admitted having an improper sexual relationship with Monica Lewinsky. The president made the comments at a news conference today. He says he hopes the American people will see that he has redoubled his efforts to be a good president.
Well, enjoy your orange juice while it's cheap. A popular OJ company is putting the squeeze on your wallet. That's coming up next in Business News.
Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula is bracing for Hurricane Mitch. John Coleman has details on this deadly hurricane.
And will Mr. October return to the Padres next year? Skip has the answer later on in sports.
This one is slicing. Proposition C. It speaks for itself. A 26-block redevelopment project anchored by the ballpark. No new taxes. The city's commitment capped and limited to redevelopment funds and hotel taxes. The Padres guarantee over $400 million in private investment and are required to pay cost overruns. And preserving Major League Baseball in San Diego for future generations. Prop C, it's more than a ballpark.
There's some very big differences in this election.
Gray Davis supports education and is endorsed by California's teachers. In Congress, Dan Lundgren received a 0 rating from the NEA. Davis is pro-choice. Lundgren is not. Lundgren even sponsored legislation to deny choice to victims of rape and incest. Davis supports a ban on offshore oil drilling. Lundgren won't. As Attorney General, Lundgren refused to enforce the ban on assault weapons. Gray Davis will strongly enforce the ban. Gray Davis, experience that will move us forward.
You're watching KUSI, San Diego's more local news station. Democrats, Republicans, who will it be? Election 98. The propositions, the candidates, the choices. Election 98. As the polls close, join KUSI News for the winners, the losers, and special coverage of all the local issues and how they will affect you. Election 98. Live from Election Central, November 3rd, only on KUSI.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. I was wondering if you need an experienced water boy.
How old are you, kid? 11? 12?
I'm 31 years old.
Bobby Boucher is a loser.
I want a boy!
But on November 6th,
Stop making fun of me.
he's going to fight back.
Damn!
From the director of The Wedding Singer,
Must be something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
Adam Sandler. The Water Boy, rated PG-13, starts Friday, November 6th.
If you have to fly business class, you probably know this one. Business airfares are going up again. Doug Ramsey is here with more on that tonight, and of course the latest from Wall Street.
And they have been for a while. Starting off on Wall Street, though, it's somewhat less worried today about Asia's recession spreading to Latin America after Brazil announced a plan that could keep that economy afloat without a massive bailout by the United States. The stock market rebounded from the previous day's losses on the news, but at the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up less than 6 points. The NASDAQ index of over-the-counter stocks, however, did rally almost 20 points. The Securities and Exchange Commission has charged 44 individuals and companies with committing securities fraud over the Internet. At a Washington news conference, the agency accused the defendants of touting small company stocks through junk email. They did so without informing their targets that the brokers were getting kickbacks for doling out supposedly impartial investment advice. Investing in savings bonds keeps getting easier. Starting next Monday, you'll be able to buy them automatically by authorizing Uncle Sam to deduct the cost from your bank account. To be eligible, you have to sign up for the deduction at least twice a year. Available bonds range from $50 to $1,000 in face value. Inflation isn't much of a problem these days generally, but you will soon be paying more for a glass of orange juice. Tropicana is raising wholesale prices 10% because Florida's orange crop is expected to be down about a quarter from last year's. The hike should make its way to the supermarket by late November, with retail prices going up 30 to 40 cents per 64-ounce carton. Safety regulators have launched a probe into complaints involving Ford Explorers from the 1992 through 94 model years. Fires allegedly started after leaves and other materials collected near their air venting systems. So far, no word on whether a recall will be ordered. Finally, the cost of business travel is going up. According to a new survey by American Express, business airfares have now risen 14% in just the past 2 years, although in 1998 alone so far, they're only up 3%. In that same 2-year period, hotel room rates were up 20%, and the cost of renting a car after being flat in 1997 has soared 19% in just the first 6 months of 1998.
Not that I know anything. It seems to me that a lot of those fares are based on the fact that people don't question them because they're on corporate accounts and stuff.
Exactly.
And that is a weird philosophy to me.
And usually, don't forget, they're traveling on short notice. They don't want to stay the weekend, so they pay the high fares. It's only if you're traveling for leisure, as tourists tend to do, that you get the cheaper fares.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Well, apparently there is a new attitude when it comes to hospital food. We are told that these days the meals not only are healthy and they taste good, they also look good. The elves at Pomerado Health System are trying to prove it. They got together with KUSI Radio and KUSI to whip up some tasty dishes. The free annual cookbook is called It's Easy to Cook Healthy. It was introduced tonight at the California Center for the Arts in Escondido.
The book features quick meals and smart tips. New recipes include Cathy Clark's Heavenly Chocolate Angel Food Cake and, of course, Brian Christie's delicious Stagecoach Chili. The new publication was unveiled before a number of hungry food critics tonight.
They got to test a lot of this stuff. The gourmet cookbook includes recipes for just right for fighting cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Now, the recipes are being distributed across the county. You can get a free copy of this book if you call 1-800-628-2880. And as you may have noticed, KUSI is one of the sponsors of the project, and they had to browbeat that recipe out of me. Family secret.
This is a great
book.
This is a great book. Laura Buxton's Grilled Cajun Sunshine Shrimp. How about that, huh?
Sounds good.
She's originally from Louisiana, by the way. So there you go. There it is.
It's free.
Yeah.
Well, if you've ever tried to give a loved one a massage, you know how hard it can be to get all the kinks worked out. But if you think that's tough, try getting the kinks out of a 1,700-pound walrus. Just ahead, a man with a very difficult mission.
Local high school football experts wondering how Sarah High continues to do it. They remain undefeated, and they lead all other county schools in defense. That story's coming up.
You're going to read everything in this book, cook it all, and be healthy forever. And I'm going to predict rain in San Diego. Do you need an umbrella tomorrow? And I'll tell you about the snow, where it's falling, how heavy it is. Stay with us, no flipping.